Almost there. We're live on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? TikTok going strong as well. Elgato Conquist. What up? Tim, what's going on? Appreciate you guys. Got one sec. Let me fix my camera there a little bit. Hopefully that works. Got a little white box around my head on YouTube. I don't ever know why that happens. Tyler Shuck is the first comment that I'll get into. At least what I'm going to talk about the first half hour. Tyler Shuck, I am confused why he's a second-round quarterback. You would have got laughed at if you said Tyler Shuck was a second-round quarterback in December. Feels like we fell into the trap of forgetting what happened actually on the field, and then you get removed from the actual season, and then you start watching the film, and you kind of fall in love with a guy. But I covered the ACC. I called a game in ACC country every single week. No one was talking about Tyler Shuck. Maybe he proves me wrong, but and I got love for Louisville. Watch out for Louisville this year with Miller Moss too. They're a sneaky ACC. Not even are they? Yeah, sneaky ACC, sneaky college football playoff. College football playoff pick. But the title of this video and this live on TikTok and YouTube. Thanks for hanging. Appreciate you guys doing this every single Tuesday and Thursday from noon to 1 p.m. Trying to build depth with my audience and not just be a football talking head guy, which I'm excited about. But it's crazy. It's already May 1st. The year is a third done, which is wild. It feels like everyone always says like, oh, it's flying by. You know, holidays flies by, summer flies by. That is very much the case. But it got me thinking like, hey, every single New Year's, we always do New Year's resolutions. I had a few. And wanted to dive into those and kind of self scout. We're self scouting the New Year's resolution. So I had a few. One, wanted to establish a presence on YouTube long form. Wanted to establish a YouTube long form cadence. Two, wanted to get 5 sweats in a week. Needed to do that. Before I got married like 2.5 years ago, my mom came up to me came up to my wife. I don't know if she came up to me, but she was like, Max, you look like super skinny. You're like, are you not, she didn't say, are you okay? But that was like the post-pandemic where I was like eating salads only and grinding on Peloton, not lifting a weight. And I have the body type where I just get like super, super skinny. So that is not the move. We're up. I'm up at the same weight that I played football at. I'm not as like dialed and in shape as when I played football, but we're solid there. Third one was, I don't know about you guys, but I always consume like quotes and, messages and even like vocab words. Cause obviously I talk on camera for a living where I'm always trying to like, elevate my vocab. Even right there, I said like, I don't need to say like, but I wanted to track that system. I want a system to be like, hey, I like that message, whether it's a Google Doc or what I settled with is I got this thing. It's a little like little treasure chest thing. And I'm trying to put in little notes of like, yo, this message resonated with me. I don't want to forget that. So then I have like a core thing that I can go back to. So it's not only like vocab words and trying to level up there, but also just like general messages. Like here, what do we got in here? It's gonna be all over. If you guys are following me for my football take videos, you're gonna be like, Max, what are you talking about here? First one, bang. Let's see if the camera can do that. Oh, it's not going to adjust. Intelligence is not a good guarantee of wisdom. That's kind of a weak one. That's solid, though. Ooh, I like this one. When the tide's in your favor, paddle like hell. Like little messages like that. This is a good one. Playing in the NFL is an experience, not a career. I thought that was a really good way to frame it because I didn't play in the NFL, but I get asked to like speak to young guns every once in a while. It's a good way to frame it. In fact, literally working on it right now. For those of you guys that follow the Elite 11, the big quarterback camp for high schoolers, I'm speaking to those guys this July, which I'm fired up about. And I'm kind of going to be the guy that's talking with them about, hey, there's 11 guys there, or maybe now it's like 15 or whatever. But every single one of those guys thinks they're going to be a first-round NFL draft pick quarterback. And literally the math doesn't work out, which like high school seniors, those guys aren't, 8th graders. Like they get the deal. They understand the deal. But I think it hits different when like they look at someone like me in the flesh where it's like, no. And it's where it's, hey, I was rated above Jared Goff, Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, those types of guys. yet it didn't work out for me, but I'm not miserable. I'm happy. I live a great life, have tons to be thankful for and grateful for. And like your life's not over versus sounds crazy, but there's a lot of big time high school football recruits. And I didn't think my life was going to be over, but I thought I would live this just like miserable, unfulfilled life if football didn't work out. That's just like the intensity and the reality of being a 5-star quarterback. And kind of talking to those guys and seeing, hey, there's this guy. He's kind of old now. He's 30 years old. He's 13 years older than me, but I'm young enough where it's not like some old head talking to them. I don't know, hoping to deliver value on them. And then the fourth and final one was I'm trying to get my golf handicap down to a single digit. We started the year at a 13. I did a poor job this past football season where I didn't pick up a club, which was a mistake. In the 2023 football season, I did pick up a club, and it allowed just keep staying dialed. I would do like a range session at what it was like 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. range session Tuesday during football season. I didn't do that this week. I was traveling coast to coast. We didn't make it happen. But we're working, man. We're trying to get down to the single digit. We're at a 11 right now. So, a couple good rounds. We're making moves. Fun fact for those of you guys hanging, I'm playing in the U.S. Open Creator Day on Monday, flying out to Pittsburgh, which will be sick. I forget who's in my grouping. I will be fully transparent in that I don't know how I keep making. I played in it last year. Obviously, I'm not like a golf creator, hoping to, do more content in that lane. But made the cut for this little event. So I'm fired up about that. But when I look at it, the first one, why did I want to create a YouTube long form cadence? And I appreciate you guys hanging out. Max, what's up, man? So there's a few reasons. I felt like, so I quit my day job back in August of last year. And before that, it was very much, hey, I had a day job and like I only had so much time and energy to do short form content. And that's all I did. It was like scripted football takes. But then now that I'm full-time into content, I felt like YouTube was the next evolution. And if you're over there on the TikTok live, check out my YouTube stuff. But I felt like it was the next iteration. One, as a sports creator, I think YouTube's the future. I don't know about you guys, but like, especially when I was working my corporate job, I never watch SportsCenter anymore. I love Scott Van Pelt, but I never watch SportsCenter. I rarely watch NFL Live, like sit down on the couch, turn it on. Very rarely. What I do prefer is, hey, I got a lunch break. I got like a 18-minute lunch break, 20-minute lunch break, whatever. That's in my brain. That's like 2 YouTube segments that I can watch right there. 2 little 8-minute, 10-minute segments. So to my earlier point, turn on Colin Cowherd. I'll get his take on LeBron James and the Lakers losing, and then I'll pop over to, hey, why did Shador fall in the draft? Rather than sitting on my couch, it's a guessing game of what they're talking about on NFL Live. Like, I think YouTube's the future. Whenever I'm hanging around my or YouTube in the sense of like long form content, TikTok I think is always going to crush it. Instagram is not going anywhere anytime soon. But in terms of like longer form content that people are sitting down to watch, I think that is the future. And I think it always is driven home whenever I hang out with my niece and nephew who are 12 and 15. All they do is touch YouTube. And there's the whole Pat McAfee effect and all that. So that's why I wanted to invest in YouTube, especially long form. I also wanted to build out the skill set, like regardless of how stuff performs, being able to sit and give thought out takes that are not just short form snipped out, and being able to talk on a mic for long periods of time is a skill set that I want to develop, not only just for, content, but also for to build that muscle for, potentially hosting down the line, potentially speaking down the line, potentially like if I got a radio show or things of that. Like, you never know how the content world's going to evolve. And I didn't want to just be a scripted short form guy. So building that muscle and expanding that out, it's obviously an income opportunity. I'd be lying if I didn't say that. How I pay the bills right now is largely brand deals across social media. But if I was able to build out a YouTube cadence where, you guys know the deal. There's a lot of, actually, that's something I think people sleep on. There's a lot of football creators that I think the average football fan has no idea that they exist. And I'd be willing to bet that they make, it's not even willing to bet. They make 6 figures. Sorry. They make 6 figures easy. And I bet the average football fan, especially if you're over there on TikTok and like you're not hanging on YouTube, there's a good chunk of football creators that are doing that. And so from an income stream, it makes sense. And then it's also like tons of ripple effects too. I think it's a huge, networking tool as well. Like I'm doing content over on YouTube that's a lot of like interview guest focused, and I might not reach out to that person just to like call and check up kind of thing. But if I'm inviting them into my YouTube video to like get their perspective, that's a networking opportunity. I also think it allows you to, as the content worlds evolve, build out just different mediums that you might not necessarily know you liked. Like I'm filming a video that's coming out in a couple of weeks about one of my best performing videos on all platforms last year was about how I started the quarterback mud at USC, which is kind of funny and kind of random and whatnot. Great video, but I bought all the supplies and I'm gonna make a football using the quarterback mud that like every NFL franchise uses. My buddy works for the Seahawks and he gave me their recipe, so I'm literally gonna make that type of video. Might flop, it might crush, and it might unlock like a new pillar there. So I'm super excited about that. And then you get leverage as well, just in terms of the bigger presence that you got. Stuart, what's up? Caden, what's going on? Aiden, how we doing? Aiden, love it, man. He's chatting about the card. Appreciate you, dude. No, that's awesome. But when I review it, my long form YouTube cadence, I'm giving myself a B+. I missed a couple days. It's been a little chaotic at certain weeks, but we've established it where I'm in a night and day better spot now than where I was 3 months ago, which that's a huge goal. And I'm trying to get to the point where I have all the systems up and running. So when it comes football season, that I can do weekly previews of games, betting lines, reviews of games, and get out like a bunch more content than I thought. So it's a B+ there. The 5 sweats a week. I track it on this board right here. For those of you guys that follow Jesse Itzler, you might recognize this. For those of you on YouTube, TikTok, I track it. Green means I got the sweat in. Red means I missed a day. I love this thing. This is not like sponsored at all. I love this though. I swear by it. It creates somewhat of a little accountability thing, a metric, right? Being a accomplishment when you're able to block off the square green there, and a little kick in the ass when it goes red. But so far, I did the numbers. There's been 120 days so far this year. I've got a sweat in 87 of those days. That comes in at a 72.5%. My goal of 5 sweats a week, five sweats a week is 71% of the week, 71.4. So we are like right above it. If I miss maybe 1 or 2 more days, we might fall below it. But I've been fired up on it. It's let me get here just to stop the feed. But it's a money system. I swear by it. Check out it, Jesse. It's called the Big Ass Calendar. It's money, but it's funny like looking through this. So I guess why did I want to do that? Again, the past 3 years before I went full time into content in August, I was juggling 2 different careers. Like working out and some of the fitness stuff was like never a priority. It was always scattered. Some weeks I'd be good, some weeks I'd be bad, some weeks I'd lift and get momentum there, and then I'd fall off the next week and lose steam. And it was just like this super chaotic, and like there was no system to it. So wanted to create a system. It's been working, but it's funny. So I missed 33 days this year, and when I look at like why I missed those days, 3 are. And these are totally excuses. Don't get me wrong. Totally excuses. David Goggins would be like, Max, cut the shit out. You got to find a way. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big David Goggins guy. Not that I could even remotely come close to his workouts, but I'm a big D Goggins guy. Appreciate the likes too, Caden. Means a lot, dude. Sandro, what up, yo? Appreciate you, dude. We gotta catch up. But when I look at like the 33 days that I've missed, 3 are because of the LA fires, or at least related to the fires. My gym was shut down. The air quality was shit. Could have found a way. Don't get me wrong. But like, all right, those 3 days. One day was like as a byproduct of visiting a friend. That's like a weak ass excuse. Don't get me wrong. 5 of the days I played golf, but didn't actually sweat. So it didn't count. Can't be cheating. And I'm riding in a cart. May have had a couple beers as well. So like, I cannot give myself that as like a sweat day. Sure, you're being active. Yes, it's probably a healthy exercise. Don't get me wrong. But 5 of those days, I played golf and it was overcast. I didn't sweat. 2, I cut my thumb. For those of you guys that follow on Instagram, I didn't really tell the TikTok world this. Definitely not YouTube. I cut my thumb, had to go to the ER. So I wasn't allowed to sweat for 2 days. That's another one. 3, I was at Coachella. Total excuse. I could get my ass up and run. Don't get me wrong. No excuse there. But it happened. 1, I pulled my hamstring. That's another one. 4 were travel days. Like I literally was on a plane. Again, excuse. You could get up early. Totally total excuse. But only 11 of the days are just like, blah, I'm feeling lazy. I didn't get it done. Whatever, like that kind of thing, which is like pretty good. So I'm giving myself an A right now on May 1st. I'm giving myself an A for the 5 sweats a week goal. Again, if you're in and out of this, check this out. This thing's been money for me. The big ass calendar, Jesse Itzler. April was my worst month though. We had 18 out of 30 days. So we got to get right here in May. Got to get the summer bod. The fourth thing, or the third thing, the system for the vocab and the quotes that I talked about, I'm giving myself a D. I have this thing. I use it every once in a while, but I've been failing. Actually, F. I said F. I was gonna give myself D, and I'm like, Max, you're giving yourself too much credit. You are completely failing at this. Yes, you bought the box and you've written like 3 note cards, but you're failing at this thing. So let me know if you guys have thoughts on. I'm trying to improve my vocab just in life, but also as a broadcaster, like not leaning on words, not saying, hey, that's a great throw every single time, trying to expand that. Even like right there, I hesitated, could use greater vocab words, and then also documenting the quotes. And then last one, single digit handicap, give myself a B+. Got down from a 13 to 11 so far in like 3 months. Shot my first round in the 70s, which I'm hyped on, which was dope. And we're on the track. I got some sweet trips coming up for you golf folks. I'm golfing Oakmont on Monday for the U.S. Open Creator Day, which is gonna be sick. I'm golfing Chambers Bay, I believe. We'll see. Still working out the kinks in July, which will be sweet. Those are 2 U.S. Open courses. Going to Ireland for a wedding and gonna get a round in before, which will be sweet. I forget the name of it, but that's gonna be dope. And then my brother-in-law is set to get into LACC that hosted the Open 2 years ago. His birthday gift to me was take me out, so I'm fired up on that. It's funny. They, for those of you guys chilling in here, LACC doesn't let people like me in. You're creating content. You're a media member. You're a public guy. They don't let you in. So not that I can't afford that right now. That's in a different phase of life, but kind of funny how that works. So we're across the board. Then I'll get into your guys' question. Long form, we got YouTube cadence, B+. Excited about it though. 5 sweats a week, A. Been solid there. Proud of that. Vocab system, failing, F. And single digit handicap, B+. So we're rocking and rolling. So I'll hop into your guys' question. Caden, what advice would you give someone starting their football career as a junior year in high school? Sorry. Advice to someone starting their football career junior year in high school. I can't read. My bad, Caden. First advice is go to school, so make sure you can read. For junior year, I'll be super candid. I think a huge mistake high school football players make is they kind of wake up to the realities. Check that. If you're trying to play college football, in my experience, a lot of guys wake up junior year. It may have changed. I've been out of high school for 13 years. But guys get to their junior year, and then it's like, oh, wow, now I want to get recruited. Now I think that I have the prospects and the trajectory to play at the college level, whether it's D1 or D3, whatever it is. And I would light a fire under your ass and say, if that's your goal, I'd say you're behind the 8 ball, which don't freak out. You're fine. But like, don't waste a day moving forward. Like I would very much like communicate that to your coach, communicate that to, if you got a trainer or whatever, I'd be super proactive with getting your huddle film out. I'd be super proactive and just across the board advocating for yourself. It's 2025. You don't have to have your high school coach advocate on your behalf. It's funny. I was having this conversation 2 weeks ago with my older brother. My older brother was the state player of the year in the state of Washington in 2000. Unfortunately, and he played Division III football at Claremont, was a hell of a quarterback. He was running spread before spread was even like really thought about or mainstream. But we were talking about it through the lens of like back then when you didn't have the internet, you basically had to be in a position where, you got lucky, whether it was like a newspaper that like publicized your stuff or you had a head coach that was like advocating on your behalf. My brother wasn't necessarily fortunate in that way and didn't get those Division I or even like walk-on opportunities or D1 AA opportunities. There was like some chatter, but it just didn't really happen because 2000, like that's before the internet. Nowadays, you have the internet. It's chaotic. Everyone and their mother thinks that they should be playing D1, but it does give you the opportunity to advocate, message, and be proactive on your own behalf. I will say, I started that with saying, hey, junior year, you're behind. That's the mindset to take, but don't freak out. You got junior year and senior year. A lot of like, if you can play, they will find you, but don't waste a day. Don't waste a day moving forward. A few of my friends didn't get to that next level just based off grades and a late self recruitment. Yeah, grades are no joke, especially if it's between you and some other prospect. They're always going to lean grades. Period. Getting back to Sandro's comment, what you said about content being a networking opportunity is so true. So happy to see you. Appreciate you, Sandro. I actually want to get Caleb on one of these lives. I should get you on one of these lives too. If you're over there on YouTube, in the comments, Sandro and I worked together with Gary V in 2019. We were both channel managers. Some of you guys might not know that about my story. My first job after football was working for Gary Vaynerchuk, part of his personal content team, and made a couple pivots after that. But the lessons learned from that opportunity allowed, like, I still apply to this day. And he's talking about it's slept on. Like, if you put out content, just the general relationship building and networking opportunity as a result of like just people seeing your face, it's a big it's certainly a value. Making sure, boom, share. Always wanted to play football. Now I'm moving to Kentucky, and I thought, since it's a new start, check it out. I love it. Oh, so I wasn't really answering your question, Caden, because you're just trying to play ball. I love that, man. Go out for the team for sure. That's why football is the best sport, man. It's the ultimate team sport. I mean, whether you play and you're starting, great. Whether you're a reserve player, great. Or if you're just part of the team, man, the brotherhood of football is awesome. Go out and try for football. For real. That's not even just lip service. It's amazing. Jacob, thanks for joining. C-Key, thanks for joining. How do you think the Giants look this year? I love their draft. I think they did a lot of great things. I commend how the narrative has shifted after the Hard Knock stuff. Like, there's coaches that don't ever recover from that. It feels like the Giants organization has kind of calmed the ships a little bit. I find it fascinating that the collective football world just loves Brian Daboll. Not saying they're wrong with that, but you usually don't see that with coaches. Usually it's easy for the media to just dog on coaches that are not performing well. But across the board, especially people that like know ball, they always go to bat for Brian Daboll, which doesn't always happen. Again, when you're a coach that has struggled, and obviously, he hasn't had the best quarterback situation, but that's just interesting to me. But I think the division that the Giants are in, it's an uphill battle. I mean, Jackson Dart, I don't expect them to start week 1. I don't think they will keep Jameis and Russ. I feel like they'd find a way to trade one of them, probably Jameis to some quarterback that would quarterback needy team or something that comes up. But I think Jackson starts, try to ride it out with Russ, maybe make a switch midseason, and actually can't do midseason because that coaching staff has a short leash. Could happen earlier. I don't know when their bye week is, but we'll see. Cam Ward going to be our savior. You're a Titans fan. I think you got every reason to be excited. I totally disagree with the comment that Cam Ward would have been the 7th quarterback taken if he was taken in last year's draft. I think that's hindsight is 2020. I think people are overhyping. There's a lot of hesitancy around Bo Nix across the board, and rightfully so. He was older in college. I don't think he was asked to make difficult throws play in and play out at Oregon. He was a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But nowadays we're sitting here like, oh, it was a surefire thing that Bo Nix was like a lock as an NFL starter. That to me is, what is it? Revisionist history or hindsight's 2020. Yes, Bo Nix is great, but I think if push comes to shove, Cam Ward would have gone above Bo Nix last year. I would have taken him above JJ McCarthy. Those of you guys that have followed my content closely, I'm hesitant on JJ McCarthy, and I think he would have gone after Michael Penix. I've made this take in every single live I've done the past month, but Michael Penix would have been the first. Michael Penix would have been a Tennessee Titan if he was taken in this year's draft. Thoughts on Dylan Gabriel? It's funny. I mean, and I said this last week, like in previous drafts, a talking point that would always come up is how valuable college starts are, college experiences. We talked about it all the time when Brock Purdy had success in his first 2 years. Talked about it. It just felt like that was a common talking point. And then you look, and Dylan Gabriel, who literally has like the most starts in the history of college football, we never really talked about it with him. Like he was always kind of an afterthought, which I think there is value in there. Even if he is shorter, even if the arm strength maybe is a concern, I do think there is value in there. I buy the storyline that the Browns kind of fell in love with him. Like Dylan Gabriel has the production and the track record for it. Only takes one team to be like, you know what? That's my guy. And so I buy that. I think he's in a difficult spot though with Shedeur there. You know, if I had to put my money somewhere, I think Shedeur beats him out. I do. I just think Shedeur is a better prospect. And it went from, hey, great, the Browns are kind of betting on you. You know, you're their young guy for the next year or so, to those reps get split. I think the pressure to showcase Shedeur and what he's got, that's a tough situation for Dylan. But if I had to guess, it'll be Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, or like a Jameis Winston in some sort of trade if for whatever reason things don't work out. I think that's the starter for the Browns to start the year. And then they keep whoever wins the battle at a training camp between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur is the backup. And then they keep the other guy on practice squad is my gut. What do I think about Will Howard? I am not as high on Will Howard as other people. I respect the hell out of to go to Ohio State with that pressure that Ryan Day was under, to leave. I guess it wasn't that comfortable at Kansas State because they wanted Avery Johnson in there. But I respect how he handled that Ohio State situation. He's a legend for the Buckeyes, for the rest of time. But I don't think he's as prolific as a pocket passer getting through progressions as some of these other guys. And I think at times he was able to utilize his legs and the playmakers around him at Ohio State to find success on money downs in the red zone, third down. I don't think his legs will be a huge factor in the NFL, and you're going to have to win from the pocket. I think there's a chunk of guys that are better than him winning from the pocket. So from his standpoint, to land at the Steelers, that is a dream scenario to land at the Steelers, because they don't have another young guy. He's going to be given every opportunity to be that future guy, even though he was, a 6th-round pick or so. So dream scenario for him. Wouldn't surprise me if he hangs around with the Steelers for a while. But if I had to put my money somewhere, I don't think he's an NFL starter. And I'm getting a lot of quarterback questions. I got a bunch of QB vids, draft breakdowns over there on YouTube. Just type my name down. I got a Why Shedeur Fell. I think that's coming out this afternoon. And then I think the quarterback draft this past year, or the 2025 quarterback draft, was like the weirdest top to bottom, not just with Shedeur, top to bottom. The fact that Tyler Shuck went top into the second round is goofy. The Jalen Milroe story is interesting. The fact that Quinn Ewers was the 12th quarterback taken. You guys would have laughed at me. You guys would have said I was like ridiculous and out of my mind. You guys would have unfollowed me. You would have left the stream if I told you back in October Quinn Ewers was going to be the 12th quarterback taken. You guys would have that would have been the craziest thing ever. I remember people talking about him as the first-round quarterback, maybe first overall after the Michigan win. That's not that long ago. To drop to 12, I think that's great value for the Dolphins. And again, sneaky good situation for Quinn Ewers in the Dolphins. He gets to a scheme where the starter also doesn't have elite arm strength. I think Quinn Ewers has a tendency to he doesn't drive the ball. It's just like not part of his DNA, which is fine, especially at the college level, right? You don't always have to throw the ball 100 miles an hour. But that's my biggest concern with Quinn is it's just not part of like his natural throwing motion to like rip the ball. In fact, I was kind of that way. I didn't always like drive the ball. I was very much like a throw on time, layer it kind of guy, catchable kind of guy. But Tua is that same way. That's the system he's walking into. Tua's injury prone. That offense has a bunch of playmakers. That scenario for Quinn Ewers is awfully intriguing to me as well. Peril Foot, that's a wild comment. Good luck to you on over there on YouTube. Aiden, what you got there? That's hilarious. My dad went to Kennedy in Seattle area, also played ball at Claremont. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. The Lancers, right? Yeah, my brother played the starter at Claremont from 2001 to 2004 or so. Reggie thought Deion Sanders should have been USC's coach when he was on Fox. How do you think the program would have looked if USC picked up Deion? That's funny you say that. I'm coming out with a YouTube video on Thursday about how Lincoln Riley's roster strategy, or how he's building his roster, has totally changed from day one of getting hired to now. And he was on with Josh Payton, kind of admitted to that. I've been sitting on that take. I think it's a fascinating topic. If you're a college football hardo or a USC fan, check it out. I promise you, it's going to be a good video. I'm talking with a bunch of USC folks and getting their different perspectives and montaging it all together. But how do I think it'd be different? I think no matter who was the head coach at USC, USC needed 2 years to build up the NIL structure and get people on board. Maybe Deion fast tracks that to like 1 year, but I don't think Deion gets Caleb Williams in the portal. So I don't think you have that successful year one. If you don't have that successful, I guess you would have had Shedeur, right? But I think it would have been harder. Lincoln got a lot of big pieces. That's a great question. Here's my answer to that. I don't think you would have had as successful of a year one, but I don't think you would have had the flop in year two. And I think you'd be slightly above where you're at now. There was some structural changes that had to happen within USC that are outside of Lincoln, specifically with NIL, flipping the roster, the whole deal that I think still would have applied to Deion. So I don't think it would have been groundbreaking. But KP, great question. Appreciate you. Cam Scadaboo, you're right. Caden, I totally forgot. Scadaboo is a beast with the Giants. And to get him, I'm very, very intrigued to see how his game translates to the NFL, because he's a stockier, shorter arm guy. I think he's got shorter arms, but stockier, like stiff arms. Those stiff arms work with college defenders. I'm intrigued to see if it translates over to the NFL. I think we're going to know if Cam Scadaboo is like a dude early on in the preseason. I think we're going to be able to say like, oh, wow, he's not just college quick. That quickness translates to the NFL. Oh, wow, he's not just college strong. He's shaking tacklers in the hole in the NFL or not. I think we're going to know really early on. There's a little, for all, 40 of you guys, there's a little fantasy tip that I'll be eyeing. I was completely wrong about Bo Nix if he continues to be great. I'm with you, dude. I was super hesitant on Bo Nix. Hand up for sure on that one. Should Jackson have stayed at USC? Nah, he shouldn't have stayed at USC. Wish he did. That would have been fun. Actually, that's not true. I don't wish he did, because you wouldn't have got Caleb Williams. That was the classic story of it worked out for both sides. When Jackson did transfer to Ole Miss, I was like, Kiff, good on you, dude, because Ole Miss is not a blue blood program. Ole Miss has changed the trajectory of how people view their program a lot since NIL the past 3 years. But I remember being like, yo, that's a huge get for Ole Miss, because in USC territory, we were saying, hey, Jackson Dart's the next Sam Darnold. And, it was like that level of, hey, he could be that great. In fact, at the time when he left, I thought it was Caleb Williams was the best quarterback in college football, and Jackson Dart was like right there. That's not an exaggeration. Or he was like number 2 in terms of the rankings. But I think that was a win-win situation for both sides. Should be Max Brow. Damn. Is that a forehead joke? I've never got a unibrow joke. I don't know. Whatever. How did I pick USC over UW? I haven't got this question in a minute. Yeah, I grew up in UW's backyard, 25 minutes away. 22 on traffic. Now they got the little toll bridge over there. So maybe it's different. But I was right there. I always say if I was 5 years younger, I may have gone to UW. It would have been really hard to pass up on UW. I was in 8th grade when UW went winless. So that's a core college football childhood memory. I was ball boying at my high school's game, and they went on the loudspeaker and said the Apple Cup was being played while I was ball boying for my high school's playoff game. And they went on the loudspeaker and say, the Cougs beat the Dogs. The Dogs go winless for the first time in program history. And I remember people laughing. And so that was my 8th grade year. And then Sark came in, and then it was 7-win Sark, which is funny because I played for him, but I had it in my mind that I wanted to play for a blue blood program. Got down between USC, Oklahoma, and Alabama. UW was there, but I didn't view UW in that light. They weren't legit. And obviously Chris Peterson came in and changed it. Maybe joke's on me. Maybe I could have been part of the Chris Peterson change or whatever, but UW's come a long way since when I was in high school, at least from how my perception as a Seattle kid that had no dog in the fight. I grew up around a bunch of dog fans. And it's kind of one of those things, you're either like with the dogs or you're against the dogs. Both my parents went to Idaho, so I never drank the Husky Kool-Aid. I would train at the Washington facility all day long. But to me, grown up, West Coast kid, my first video game was NCAA football 2004. I would play with the 9th-ranked Trojans. It was Reggie Bush. It was Matt Leinart. Like, that was peak college football for a West Coast kid. How I'm 30. I was in 4th grade when this was going down. Like, that's peak core memory. So and I'll never forget when I kind of got all the offers that I wanted. My high school coach came up to me and was like, hey, is there anyone else you want? Trying to kind of rein in my recruiting process because I didn't want to. I've said this before. If you're a recruit that has more than 40 offers, come on, bro. You know right away. Once it gets to school 25, you know school 26, you're not going to school 26. Don't waste that coach's time. You're just getting that offer for clout. So for me, when I was the number 1 quarterback in the nation, I only had like 20 offers or so. Because at a certain point, I remember a high school coach came up to me and was like, hey, we got Vanderbilt on the line. Or maybe it was Duke. He's like, we got Duke on the line. Are you actually ever going to go to Duke? No, I'm not going to Duke. But there was one school I didn't have the offer from. It was USC. And I was like, you know what? Kind of intrigued with USC. USC was in sanctions, so it was a little bit like sus back then. Obviously, I committed there and stayed there. So it's, it worked out, or at least it didn't work out, but it came. I ended up going there. That's a better way to put it. But I was like, hey, I'd love to talk to USC. Funny enough, went to their junior day, got offered at their junior day. Rest is history. J-Mac, what up? What happened to Burrow? I know, dude. Burrow and his off day. Chatting here on YouTube Live. For sure, man. I can't pronounce your username, the Husky question, but I appreciate you, dude. Will USC win the Big Ten? They got a lot of work to do this year. They got a lot of work to do. Wouldn't surprise me if they do, but they got a lot of work to do. We did not match there. That's for J-Mac. You see Mark Brunell played at UW? I did. No, I did not see Mark. I was not born when Mark Brunell played at UW. I remember watching Mark Brunell with the Jags, though. Little lefty, little southpaw. I was watching something. This is funny. I was looking up the other day. What was I? I was looking up like 5th-round quarterbacks. I was looking up who are the best 5th-round quarterbacks in the history of the NFL through the lens of Shador, and Mark Brunell is the first name that comes up. I think that's what I asked him. Or asked him, ChatGPT. Yo, I use ChatGPT every single day, all the time. ChatGPT is amazing. It's like I got a little mini employee with me. If for those of you guys that care. No, I do not, Caden. Sorry, I do not know who that is. Seahawks cooked in the draft. People stay underrating them for sure. People always be underrating the Seahawks draft, man. Jay, what's up, man? He's good, dude. He's good. Lives in Orange County. Saw him a couple weeks ago. He's doing good, man. Jaden, what up, dude? Hope all's well. I gotta give love to Splendorio, though, man. You lived on the other side of the block. I guess you asked it on TikTok. I'm looking at YouTube. My bad. Max, would you like to see the OG Pac-12 come back together someday? Hell yeah, I would. That'd be sick. And I think there's a greater than 0% chance that happens. It would start with Cal and Stanford. If 3, 5, 7 years down the road, Florida State, Clemson, those types of schools break off and the ACC starts scrambling like the Pac-12 had to, which those of you guys that follow my content, the Pac-12 is no different than the ACC. Just the timing of Clemson carrying the torch and the ACC having the ESPN contract versus for the decade prior, USC being on sanctions and the poor TV contract that was the Pac-12 networks. It was a business move that made the Pac-12, or multiple moves, the Pac-12 dissolve. It wasn't because the ACC is superior to the Pac-12. I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill, especially now. And it's ironic because I cover the ACC, but I think it's the reality of college football. But I think there's a world where those schools break off, like a Clemson and Florida State. I know they just locked in the new deal, but college football, they can shake things up. Or if Stanford and Cal, for whatever reason, realize, you know what? Hey, we want to be an Olympic sport team. We want to create all sports equal. Stanford plays to a different set of rules in terms of just college sports in general. If they come back to the West Coast, obviously Washington State and Oregon State would, jump at that. But if UCLA struggles mightily in football in the decade to come, let's say USC is not able to get back to that, or get up to that premier top tier status of the Big Ten. Long story short, obviously it all comes down to money, but I think there's a greater than 0% chance that it could happen. It is not likely at all whatsoever. The first domino that would have to fall, though, is Stanford and Cal coming back to the West Coast and developing some sort of their new West Coast Conference kind of thing. Caden, thanks for hanging, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the questions, dude. I'll be back. I will not be back on Tuesday. I've been doing this. I go here live on Tuesday and Thursday every week at noon. I will be in Pittsburgh next week traveling, so I will not be doing this next Tuesday. Scale of 1 to 10. How do you feel about Sayin? I do not know much about this dude at all. I'm very intrigued. Ohio State's quarterback. I think it's interesting that Ohio State did not get into the portal. That to me is a huge clue. Said the same thing about Oregon. The fact that those schools are not getting into the portal and getting a quarterback tells me that they have confidence in the dudes they have on their roster. I don't know what Dante Moore's Heisman's odds are right now for Oregon, but keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. People are dogging on him for struggling as a true freshman at UCLA. Dude, starting as a true freshman is tough. Tez Johnson's comments about him being a baller on scout team, keep an eye on that. But I don't know much about Julian Sayin. I saw a report that the other guy might be giving him a run for his money. I forget who the other dude is. That's challenging him. But there you go. Go Ducks. Keep an eye on that. Where do you see the Ducks landing this year? Finally getting to the Natty. I see the Ducks being right in the thick of things. Again, I'm a believer in Dan Lanning. Maybe they take a page out of Ohio State's book where if you just keep hanging around, it's the Denzel Washington quote. You keep hanging around the barber shop, eventually you'll get a haircut. The Ducks keep hanging around the CFP, keep putting themselves in that bye-week top 4 situation, keep putting themselves in, Big Ten title game, getting an invite to Indy. It's only a matter of time. Max, should we expect an announcement on an additional Pac-12 school or schools for football? Great question, Corey. I was listening to John Wilner and John Canzano. If you don't listen to them, they're the most dialed in of anyone that I consume when it comes to West Coast football, TV negotiation, TV deals. I forget what their podcast is called, but check it out. They crush it. Wilner and Canzano are dialed. I do not expect that, not anytime soon. And it's what they need one more school. Gosh, I got to look back on the numbers there. But to answer your question, no, I don't expect that. I'm tracking that. The big news was that the Pac-12, I believe, just announced their TV contract with the 3 different partners: CBS, CW, baby, CW, and Fox. So that's more what I'm keeping an eye on. That was a terrible answer for you, long-winded. It's a good reminder. I got to check into that. Brandon T, Bo Juro, what up? What up? How we doing? Is Husky Stadium the greatest setting in college football like they advertise? Yes, Husky football or Husky Stadium is sick. Love the announcer. Stadium's dope. Greatest setting? Yeah, I'm cool with that. I said this on a live a couple times ago, though. They could have made the away stadium. So we're talking about University of Washington. For people that don't know, hugged up right against Lake Washington or Montlake. Sailgators, the whole deal. It's amazing. For me, I got the nostalgia of being a Seattle guy. I would drive past that bridge. That's where I did all my quarterback training growing up. So there's like the nostalgia there. I got my first offer on that field. So don't get me wrong. I got the nostalgia there. Fun fact, before I get into your question, my first offer was UW. Got it from Sark. Their quarterback coach was Doug Nussmeier, the father of Garrett Nussmeier. So I remember meeting Garrett Nussmeier when he was like a little second grader, which is kind of kind of funny there. Greatest setting, yes, it is. We got the Huskies at night in 2016. That was a top 10 matchup. My ass was riding the bench, unfortunately. But here's my point. They botched the visiting side locker room entrance. They could have made the visiting side locker room entrance much more daunting if they wanted to. Like if they spit out the visiting side locker room exit, I should say, right by the fans, and fans are hooting and hollering, just like Penn State. Look at Penn State Stadium. They spit out the visiting locker room like right on I mean, I don't know if it's north or south, but like right on one of the end zones, and you're sitting and fans can hoot and holler against you. Same thing with Virginia Tech. They can hoot and holler. Other big time, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Oregon's that way. Oregon, Oregon, you have to walk through the concourse. Oregon, you're walking through. I could buy a damn bag of popcorn. I will say Oregon's though is like random as hell. So that's not a good example. But UW, they like tuck you in the far corner. There's no fans to your right. The fans to your left, I think, like don't even realize that the opposing team's like coming out. It's a lot. Like all I'm saying is they could have designed it so it was more intimidating for the road team. But it's a great stadium. Don't get me wrong. Fun fact: when I was a little kid, I went to only like one Husky game, which speaks to how I wasn't necessarily drinking the Kool-Aid as a young kid. But I went to one Husky game and I was scared to walk up the stairs on the top level because they're so steep. And like literally phone a friend engineer, they're so steep. Like if you literally like fall over, it feels like you're started skiing like three years ago. It feels like you're on like a little like black diamond, like dead ass. Crazy. Used to give me the heebie-jeebies. Like I literally would. It was Keith Price. Maybe it was Jake Locker I was watching. Yeah, Jake Locker, Oregon State, probably 2010. And I would stand up like this, and like I wouldn't stand up all the way because I was so scared of like falling over. Anyways, there's my take on Washington Stadium. What are your feelings about Autzen? Is it intimidating as they say? Zaire, I appreciate you asking to co-host. Maybe I should do that. Bring in some of you guys and banter it up. I'm still getting used to the tech here, so I'll figure that out. Autzen is stupid loud. Everything you hear about that is right on cue. For only having 55,000, it's crazy. It's more like tucked in a little bit, which because it's kind of caves in, it feels more grand. It doesn't feel like 55,000. It feels way bigger than that. It feels like 75,000. The visiting locker room is random as hell, but we got Autzen on a day game, unfortunately. I wish we got Autzen at night. Even though I was the opposing quarterback, I didn't have to start that day. So I could say, hey, as the backup guy, hey, I wish we got it at night. I'm sure Cody Kessler does not wish they had it at night. But everything you hear about Autzen lives up to it. Fact. I'm excited to see Oregon's new facilities too. They're indoor. I was on campus in Eugene doing something with Tez Johnson in the fall in November. Their new indoor facility is going to be stupid nice, and it's going to reset all the like facilities arms race for college football, in my opinion. Patrick O'Neill, can we hear your snap count? Sure. What? 180. 180. That's all I got. It's got to roll off. You got to give your offensive line a little head start. Or I guess if you're Jackson Dart, it's this. Fun fact, I'm a sneaky loud clapper. Great question. Great question. I'm a sneaky loud clapper. It's like a weird, fun fact that I have where like we would do simulated crowd noise in practice back in the day. And it was always like, some of the starters would be like clapping. Maybe it was like Kenny Pickett one time because I got hurt. Kenny started a couple of games later. But it was like a thing of like, clap louder. Never an issue with me. I got that loud ass clap. I also lefty clap like a weirdo. So I got the left hand on top, which is kind of goofy. But yeah, that's what we're working with. Riley asking about Kentucky. I got to study up. I don't know their roster off the top of my mind well enough to give you a good answer. You were ranked above Deshaun Watson in high school. If you had more massage therapy, would you still be balling? Uncle Willie, please tell me. Yeah, slick. Deshaun was a class behind me, though. Sorry, bro. But, yeah, I got to phone a friend. I got to get a little massage hookup. Dude, Royer, I've been trying to do that. I got some DMs out to Gruden. That'd be fun. I want to know more of the behind the scenes with Gruden. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm most intrigued of like, dude, Gruden went from getting fired. Gruden went from crushing it at Monday Night Football to getting into coaching, the drama of that whole situation, to getting fired, to leaving football entirely, and then just coming up with Barstool, acting like, not acting, but like just kind of rolling with it, whatever. But I feel like no one's like dug into like, yo, how have the past 7 years been for you? Maybe that's not as like entertaining and fun and whatnot, but like that's where I want to go with Gruden. I saw the video of him giving his wife the like merch or whatever. It was comedy. But I would love to collab with Gruden. That'd be sick. YouTube, appreciate you guys hanging out over there. Live on TikTok as well. Grandma Crypto, what a username. Thanks for joining. I will say I'm very intrigued to see what ultimately happens with Deshaun Watson. Like, there's no way he just doesn't play football again, right? Where does he land? I made this comment on Tuesday. Like, if you're the Giants and you're doing your January meeting, assessing your quarterback position, where you don't have any answer, at least in January, like, I'm sure they talked about Deshaun Watson. Like, obviously not in the 2025 season, but I'm sure they have some sort of board that's every capable throwing arm that could start a game for them. If they're not doing that, then I don't think they're doing their jobs. Like, I'd be curious, what's the conversation like with a Deshaun Watson? I'm not saying he's their answer in 2025, but I am saying, assuming he gets healthy and he has an Achilles, you get some of these teams that are in no man land. I made this comment on Tuesday. Does he just end up being a backup? Like, is he going to be like Pat Mahomes' backup next year? Obviously, it's a long way to go. I know. But like, I'm just intrigued to see how that all shakes out. Brock Purdy, 4,700-yard season, 38 TD season incoming. I'll believe it when I see it. Very intrigued to see how that contract comes out. You and UMass All-American Adam Brenneman changing the college football content game. Patrick, appreciate you, dude. Adam's a good dude, man. Fun story for you guys. You'll like it, especially for those of you guys on TikTok, because I feel like I get the Adam comp all the time, which is great because, you know, he does a lot of good things. But it's funny. I met Adam our sophomore year of high school. After our sophomore year, going into our junior year, he was the number one tight end in the country. I was the number one quarterback in the country. My dad and I did like a Midwest swing because I'm a West Coast guy. You know, didn't really know much about the Midwest schools. Notre Dame was intriguing to me. I love the idea of going to Michigan and Wisconsin. That's like, Wisconsin had done some good things. They actually were recruiting Russell Wilson that summer, the same summer that I visited. I remember talking with Paul Christ, and he was like, hey, we're recruiting this guy. It's this NC State transfer, plays baseball. Funny enough, Russell Wilson. Where was I going with that? Oh, Adam Brenneman. We did our Notre Dame unofficial visit together. And it was just us two talking with Brian Kelly, talking with Mike Denbrock, their offensive coordinator, which is funny. He's now full circle, their offensive coordinator again. And fast forward 12 years, Adam and I are both in the content game. So it's cool to see. JP, thanks for joining. Academics harder, Pitt or USC? Skyline High School was harder for sure. My high school was much harder academically than USC and Pitt, which is kind of a surprise. Pitt was goofy, though, man. I was in grad school only there. So Katz Business School or USC. My USC MBA was the hardest, for sure. I did the first 2/3 of that before I had to transfer, and then I came back and finished it on my own dime, which is what it is. I get it. That's a fun little fact. Before I transferred away from USC, I had a meeting with Lynn Swan and Clay Helton to try to like pitch him on, yo, when I come back, I want the USC MBA. Will you guys pay for it? It didn't work out. Maybe it was, it didn't work out. Whatever. So that was 20 grand on my own, out of my own pocket. I had to pay, but it's all good. We got the MBA. USC MBA was the hardest. Then probably Katz. No, probably USC undergrad. Katz grad school at Pitt was cool, but it wasn't crazy hard just because it was 2 days a week. It wasn't that gnarly. My son's going to USC, Wilbur. USC is the best school in the world, man. People always ask me why I didn't transfer. It's because the second I got off the football field, I love going to school there. It's amazing. amongst other reasons. But it definitely helped that during the dark days, football wise at USC, the second I got out of the football ecosystem, which shout out to the homies, Old Mansion, baby. USC is an amazing place to go to school. Met my wife there. It's amazing. Would you be able to break down what an off season is like in a week of studying film? Yeah, studying the film one's a lot easier. Off season's like I'm a little bit removed, so I got to. I've been thinking about it. It'd be fun. Again, if you're on the TikTok live, head over to YouTube. I'm growing out different content pillars and all that. I would love to do like a day Lincoln Rally, a day in the life, and like hang out with Lincoln Rally. I'm sure people have tried to pitch him on that. I think that'd be sweet. I think USC fans and college football fans would love that. That's not exactly what you said, but that's kind of the hearing you say that reminded me of that. I was going to USC until Coach Alvarez pulled my scholarship last minute. Coach Alvarez, that was before my time. Barry Alvarez, Wisconsin. My bad. He's an incoming freshman at USC. Any advice? Any advice when you see a girl in the 9-0 at the corner that you got a crush on? Buy her a Long Island iced tea. Might get married to her. Oh, baseball. Oh, my bad. What's your favorite throw of your career? Love that question. That's another series I've thought about. I want to do the opposite of that. What's one throw you wish you could have back? Every quarterback has that one throw in their mind that's like, yo, I wish I could have that throw back. And it'd be fun to interview them about that, pull the footage, and then break down why they wish they could have that throw back, because usually it's some catastrophic mistake or, the stakes are super high. So I've been thinking about that. That'd be a cool short form series. Favorite throw? I mean, right where my head goes is twice in high school, me and our offense made Sports Center top 10 as a high school, public school in suburbs of Seattle for the bounce pass trick play. If you don't know about the bounce pass, check it out. But I get the snap, then I throw it to my right and I skip it off the ground as a lateral. And I knew how to do that like religiously. I could skip it like, 10 feet short of the receiver. So then the high school defensive back thinks it's a dead ball. Everyone around him acts like it's a dead ball. And then the receiver wakes up, throws a double pass downfield twice. We got on, we got on Sports Center top 10 one time for a double pass at an ESPN game. The second was for the bounce pass. But the bounce pass, all time trick play. No one does it at college and NFL because everyone's like trained to like tackle him, any question, all that. But bounce pass all time. Non-bounce pass though. My first completion or second completion to Darius Rogers, left sideline fade ball over Marlon Humphrey, I believe it was, in the Alabama game. We obviously got our ass kicked, but that time, fade ball, he goes up and gets it. Darius Rogers is one of my favorite receivers I ever had. Shout out D-Raj. USC fans, don't sleep on D-Raj's excellence from back in the day. All time dude. Love it. But just, it's crazy. Like to have that ball and then the stadium erupt, the juices are flowing. You kind of settle into the game. And it's like, yo, this is big time college ball. We're in Jerry's world. We're playing Alabama. Like this is what you dream of as a kid. That like one flash. Obviously, yeah, we got our asses kicked after that. But that's a throw that sticks out as well. Yeah, Royer, that was sick, dude. That was sick. And it was cool for me too, because it was somewhat, this is kind of how my brain works. I had a very similar throw my first high school start too, to Jordan Simone, Arizona State great, against Liberty, left sideline. And it was like it was my first completion. It was like a 50-yard bomb. People are fired up, sidelines fired up, fans are fired up. And like as a quarterback, you're like tracing the play, and it just like all the work pays off. You got the momentum, you're like ready to go in and score. And it happened on both those throws, same exact route, same exact receiver, in the sense that like Jordan Simone is one of my favorite receivers of all time. Shout out Dono. Darius Rogers, one of my favorite receivers of all time. Shout out D-Raj. Both same route, same scenario, first start, same exact like going up and getting the thing. Cool. You were amazing in Superbad. What character am I in Superbad? Favorite hangout place in Oakland or the Berg? So I lived on the by the facility, so I didn't spend and I had only 2 days of classes. Dude, Noodlehead. I know it's not Oakland, but that Thai spot up in Shady Side, bomb, bomb. Cody, you trying to tell me I look like McLovin? I never got McLovin. I feel like that's a stretch. What's one receiver all time you'd want to throw a TD pass to? It's got to be Randy Moss, right? Randy Moss is electric. Electric. Calvin Johnson would be sweet. That's 1:00 though. I gotta sign off. I appreciate you guys hanging. This was fun. I'm gonna miss next Tuesday because I'm traveling. I'm playing Oakmont Country Club, the site of this year's U.S. Open, doing their Creator Day. So it'll be sick. Wouldn't be able to do that without you guys watching the stuff. So I appreciate you guys. If you're on TikTok, check out the stuff on YouTube. YouTube. There's not many of you guys there, but I appreciate you. We're building the thing. So I'll see you guys in a week, Thursday. Peace.